Alright, greetings my fellow free love and thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Monday, February 6, 2017. Yeah, so I just was watching some of the Super Bowl 51 yesterday. Didn't watch it in its entirety, just had to get off from work. And everyone was like, had their eyes on the tube, on who's going to win and so forth. Yeah, it was an entertaining game. I'm not going to complain. Patriots backed it up. New England Patriots backed it up. Love them or hate them. Tom Brady, main achievement. 5 rings, 5 Super Bowls under his belt. So you can't condemn him. But, like I said, those big drives just got outplayed, almost like the second half, so for the Falcons. But the truth of the matter is, that's why American football is a 16-minute sport, not a 30 or 15. Gotta stay on top, be consistent, and that's how you win games and win battles, etc. So, yeah, I just got this alert last night. Or actually, a couple alerts. I got one actually from today. One yesterday about the ballistic missile hit Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, near a military or on a military base. It's based on the conflict in Yemen. And so, before I present that, I'm going to be talking about Ecuadorian presidential candidate threatens to terminate Assange Asylum if elected by Riyadh change. Before I proceed, I am just letting you know, do a good plug-in from my friends at CJ's Java Lounge in beautiful Fort Lauderdale, located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue, Suite 1, right near the southwest end of the Andrews Avenue Bridge, right along the river, where Club Squeeze used to be. And all you folks out there remember that, who live in South Florida, understand where I'm coming from. Yeah, so I'm usually open from 7 to 10, but he sometimes has a little special event on Fridays with DJ Louie. He had a Super Bowl party here, and it was nice. They had a little get-together. It was really pretty cool. So let them know that Local Third sent you if you're ever in Fort Lauderdale or in the area. Pretty cool. Mom, Pa, support local businesses, all right? Okay, well, I'm going to continue on here. This is from RearChange.org. I repeat it. Ecuadorian presidential candidate threatens to terminate Assange Asylum if elected. It's by Aaron Kezo. It says here, Ecuadorian presidential candidate Patricio Zaculanda has said that he will expel Julian Assange from the Ecuadorian embassy if he wins the election, according to El Telegrafo. Zaculanda has said if he wins, he will give Assange to Sweden. El Universo reported. Mr. Assange learns at 12 o'clock that Patriarch Society and Patricio Zaculanda, sounds like Italian, but I'll go continue on here, won the presidency. He must take his chartreuse and immediately leave, but at 6 o'clock, that individual will be placed under the orders of the Swedish police, Zaculanda said. He added that he will initiate a trial to the exchanger, Ricardo Patino, for violating international statute that guarantees that only for political crimes can be given asylum, not for common crimes. What the hell is that clown talking about? Julian Assange has been living in the Ecuadorian embassy since August 2012 when he was given asylum. He sought for refuge in the Ecuador embassy in London in June 2012, fleeing allegations of rape and sexual assault in Sweden dating back to 2010. Assange has strongly denied the charges, even releasing a transcript recently. The WikiLeaks website, Just for Assange, indicates that Assange has been in the embassy for 2,253 days under illegal house arrest. In February of last year, a UN panel found that Assange was being arbitrarily detained by the UK government, who has threatened his arrest if he leaves the embassy and has routinely has a high police presence around the surrounding area, wasting taxpayers' money. You know what? You got a bunch of pedophile maniacs in England right now are being exposed, especially in some of the small townships or districts. Okay, so they need to look out, take care of their situations. All right, don't just put it on Assange. Assange has now issued a call to Sweden and the UK to do the right thing and restore my liberty. I call on UK and Sweden to do the right thing and restore my liberty. These two states signed treaties to recognize the UN and its human rights mechanism, Assange says in a press release. Their governments accepted the jurisdiction of the UNGWGAD or UNWGAD in my case, the world's peak legal body for cases of arbitrary detention. And at no time in the 16-month process did they withdraw. They lost, appealed, and lost again. Assange further argued that his case, ignored by the UN ruling, is one that will set the precedent for whether other countries justify human rights abuses. Already, their breach has been used to justify human rights abuses from Sri Lanka to the UAE, he argued. This refusal to respect the umpire's decision comes at a terrible cost. Other states can now illegally detain Swedish and UK citizens with effective impunity, and the UN human rights system more broadly is imperiled. And the guy says, I'm an activist and a investigative journalist writing for Real Change, radio host of the Talk blog radio series, smokescreen disclosure, my research everywhere, enemy of the New World Order. Yep, so I'm the same here, my friend, Mr. Castle. I'm the enemy of the One World Order as well. So don't worry, we have something in common, right? Yeah, so what can you say? Where's the meritability of those allegations? Of course, you got the lamestream news. Even in jolly old England and Sweden, they all want to exploit crap and jump to conclusions. You know, it's nothing new. Oh, guilty to prove it innocent, right? Yeah, you know how that is. But I think Mr. Assange has a right to be heard, and even with Patricio de Colanda, wants to expel him and bring him to the Swedish authorities. Hey, you know what? I'm just wondering if he's part of the global entity as well, Mr. Zelkolanda. So you better be careful what you wish for. That can blow back in your face as well. But we got to make sure we seek justice for Mr. Assange. And if there's been actual proof this person, Mr. Assange, is a rapist, and it's a whole different ballgame. But a lot of us know for sure that he's been creating dents to the order, and it's driving them crazy. So you put them in your wishes, support WikiLeaks, and always observe responsibly. All right? Make sure we get justice for this man, because if he falls and people don't do anything, it creates a presence for everyone else, because we know for sure the war on journalism is still in heat. Okay? Still in heat. So that's what you have to look out for, okay? But support the whistleblowers and honorable journalists. All right, so next one here. I found this out when I was watching some of that game. I got it on my phone. I got to thank BFP Watch, which go to YouTube and type that in. And it says here, it's from 21st Century Wire. And it goes here, Yemeni missile strikes close to Saudi capital city, Riyadh. And it came out yesterday. It says here, special report, the war between Saudi Arabia and its neighbor Yemen has gone to a new level today. 21 Wire sources in Sana'a can confirm reports of Yemeni ballistic missile strike in the region of Riyadh. According to emerging reports on Yemen, on Sunday evening, a surface-to-surface missile was fired by the Yemeni army and has hit the Saudi capital. It is not confirmed if it struck within the city limits or suburbs. To find confirmation of the missile strike from Yemen's Ministry of Defense in Sana'a. Translation as follows. It says, Yemen Republic, February 6th, or 6th of February 2017, important announcement. It starts with Quranic verse. As a retaliation for the Saudi American dire aggression, bloody massacre, and arbitrary siege imposed on Yemeni people, which have caused a humanitarian crisis on large scale amid international community and UN silence. Some coming from our responsible position, which is committed to this noble people's choice of repelling and staving off this aggression without holding back, and from deep belief in the legitimacy of the retaliation and the sanctity of the principle of self-defense using all available means. So we announced for the first time the launch of the ballistic missile, which hit a military post in the capital of Devil Kingdom, Saudi Arabia. Wow, I like that. Interesting. We thank God for the gift of knowledge and patience, which helped us reach this exceptional rocket development, and reassured that the capital, Al-Riyadh, becomes in range of our rockets at this stage. God bless the souls of our martyrs. God heal the wounds of our injured, and God grant the freedom for POW and the soldiers who are unaccounted for. Yemen Missile Force. And you can see it's in this language. It looks like it's basically in Arabic or Yemenis. The statement reiterates the right of legitimate Yemeni government and force to retaliate against the Saudi illegitimate aggression towards the Yemeni people, endorsed by the UK, US, EU, and UN. It states clearly that these attacks will be repeated until the Saudi coalition bomb is seized. The Houthi ballistic missile successfully hit the Saudi military base in Al-Mazrima, southwest of Riyadh. The base is 40 kilometers away from Riyadh. I always like to say Riyadh. For important background of the aggression against Yemen, return for century article, UN whitewashing Saudi coalition war crimes and human rights violations in Yemen. Check that out, folks. Check that out. Back in late October, regional news outlets report that a Yemeni missile has struck near Saudi's second city of Jeddah when Yemeni army and popular forces launched a 12.5-meter long Burkan one ballistic missile from Sadr province, landing at a Saudi air base in Jeddah late October. Military spokesman indicated that Riyadh would soon be in range, and if they say this is a Burkan, it's considered to be a Russian Scud. Okay, there is no doubt inflamed the Yemen conversation. The U.S. as Republicans are attempting to frame Saudi wars on Yemen as an Iranian proxy war against Saudi Arabia and Yemen's current General People's Congress and Nasrallah, a.k.a. the Houthis. I thought about this too, about they're going to try to blame it on Iran. Okay, so that was my first thought as well, Iran or the Russian Federation. So I will continue on here. Coalition governments as a tool of the Iranian regime, thus reinforcing a neoconservative and Israeli foreign policy narrative for the Persian Gulf region. Since March 2015, Saudi Arabia has waged an illegitimate, Obama-endorsed war of aggression against its neighbor Yemen, purportedly to reinstall its own pro-Gulf and pro-America president in Yemen, Adrabado Mansour Hadi, who many regard as having no legitimacy or claim to the presidency in Yemen. And there'll be more updates on this matter. And it was interesting, too, because, even in the past episodes, I have to talk about the whole things going on in Yemen, and I thought it was possibly an inside job. But now, what I'm seeing here, according to this, the Yemen's Ministry of Defense made that statement: we take the initiative to fight back, which every country has the right to defend their land and people from tyrannical aggression, whether it is foreign or domestic. And the United Nations are in silence on this. bunch of scumbags that they are. Excuse my language, but that's how I feel about them. Something like this, the UN to me is one big, gigantic outhouse. And of course, Barack Obama endorsed it, but how come people didn't protest that? You know why? Because you're a bunch of damn hypocrites. Many of you out there are protesting on Trump, which I am not saying a supporter of either in a lot of areas. Okay? When will we have to end this madness? This is completely unacceptable, and anyone that's involved, including Barack Obama, should be charged of war crimes. He's just an example. The big list goes on, even way back when with the Bush and Cheney as well, just to give you guys, like, hey, I'm not partisan biased. And of course, we all know that Saudi Arabia, how they treat their people, like filthy pieces of garbage. Oh, but they're our friends. It's okay for them to violate human rights. Please. Bunch of jokers in there. Jokers in Washington be the bobbleheads on these stupid, pathetic news stations. They should be talking. This is what they should be talking about, not anything on Trump. And who cares about this future of Obamacare, the Ted Cruz, Bernie Sanders debate? Who the hell cares? That's what I get really, gets my goat, but I'm not going to go around and complain. And I know I'm digressing. Forgive me, folks. But, this is the military-industrial complex, the neocons. If they're gonna go around and say we gotta support Saudi Arabia and attack Yemen, you know what? You people in Washington D.C., I want your stinking pathetic asses on the front line. Let's see how tough you really are, including John McCain himself. All right, so enough said of that. But bless the people in Yemen and end all these wars because it's unnecessary. And this is what the one world order manifests over. They want us to fight amongst each other so we can all be ruled. Okay? All right, next one here came from Free Beacon. It came out a few days, like February 3rd. Yeah, it came out February 3rd. And it's interesting by Elizabeth Harrington. Says here, sanctuary cities receive $27 billion from feds each year. And as it reads, sanctuary cities receive $27 billion each year from the federal government, giving Donald Trump significant leverage over cities such as New York and San Francisco to enforce immigration law, according to a new report. OpenTheBooks.com identified 106 sanctuary cities in the United States in the oversight report released Friday, and all cities that ignore federal law by harboring illegal immigrants are receiving $27.741 billion in grants and direct payments in fiscal year 2016. 22% of the roughly 11 million illegal immigrants in the United States live in just 12 American cities, according to the report. Those cities, which include New York, Philadelphia, and San Francisco, receive $15.983 billion in federal funds. On average, the cost of lost federal funding for a family of four residing in one of the 106 sanctuary cities is $1,810 or $454 per person, OpenTheBooks.com said. A total population of 46.2 million residents live in 106 sanctuary cities, according to census data. The cities receiving the highest amount of federal funding per capita, which have the most to lose by detaining the sanctuary cities, were Chicago and Washington, D.C., which received $5.3 billion and $2.09 billion, respectively. The majority of federal funding went to local police and fire departments, schools, housing, and city services via grants worth $21.5 billion. Another $4.23 billion in direct payments, which towards housing, education, community development, and schools. Can we say financially centralizing these cities, right? Oh, yeah. Los Angeles, where one in five city residents are legal entrants, receive $502.5 million from the federal government. The report noted that more than half of the illegal immigrants living in the country reside in sanctuary city. 12 cities with most illegal immigrants and federal funding received last fiscal year are New York, 7.6 billion, Chicago, 5.3 billion, Philadelphia, 590 million, San Francisco, 509 million, Los Angeles, 502 million, Seattle, 284 million, Providence, 235 million, Denver, 227 million, Austin, 207 million, Newark, 207 million, Portland, 174 million, and Minneapolis, 118 million. Trump signed an executive order last Wednesday declaring jurisdictions that willfully refuse to comply with the federal government on enforcing immigration laws will not be eligible to receive federal grants. Sanctuary jurisdictions across the United States willfully violate federal law in an attempt to shield aliens from removal from the United States. Executive order signed by Trump stated these jurisdictions have caused immeasurable harm to the American people and to the very fabric of our republic. Responses have been mixed to the executive action, with some sanctuary cities willfully complying with Trump's order to enforce immigration laws, and others showing defiance. Miami-Dade Mayor Carlos Jimenez announced his county would comply and begin detaining illegal immigrants who are wanted by the federal government. Though Miami-Dade officials do not consider the county a sanctuary, they declined to hold some 100 inmates wanted by the feds last year, the Miami Herald reported. Detaining the illegal immigrants would have only cost $2,000, a relative drop in the bucket for a county with a total annual budget of $7 billion, the paper said. Now the county would lose millions because of Trump's order. OpenTheBooks.com revealed Miami itself collected, $29.7 million from the federal government in fiscal 2016. San Francisco, on the other hand, responded to the order by filing a lawsuit against the federal government. The city attorneys called Trump's action to enforce existing immigration laws unconstitutional and un-American. California lawmakers are considering declaring the entire state a sanctuary for illegal immigrants. One Democratic state senator said blocking local law enforcement from cooperating with the federal government on immigration enforcement would ensure that illegal immigrants who are here for all the right reasons can stay. So you got to look at everything on all sides. Okay? One thing with these elected servants in the municipality, whether it's county, state, or city, regardless, they have an oath to protect and defend both U.S. and their state constitutions. I understand the 10th Amendment perspective, like they have the federal government not come in. But one thing they can contradict too is repelling invasion. What's the synonym for invasion? Trespassing. And it doesn't matter who's in here. You have to look at the bigger picture. Yeah, many of them have families and so forth. That's all well and good. And of course, you have your criminal elements as well. But I'm not going to like violent criminals and so forth. Well, technically, illegal immigration is considered a crime. Trespassing, at the minimum. Trespassing. We're not talking about the violent elements in there. So again, I'm not going to say all violent criminals either, because that would be inapplicable. And like I said, a person like myself is not a Trump lover. However, if you go to my past archives, I did one article about Joseph Napolitano, talking about the do's and don'ts Trump can implement. And one of the things he did, hold federal funding, which is legit. So that's something to think about. So taking them to court is not going to get you anywhere. It's San Francisco. Talk about unconstitutional, un-American. They need to look at themselves. I did a song called Treason's in the Air in San Francisco, when they tried to do that gun ban, which it got dropped out in the California courts. And a lot of these cities, too, they're involved with the Strong Cities Network, which is another dangerous entity You can go to strongseasnetwork.org and check that out, or go to my archives, look up Strong Seas Network and New World Order Lambert. That's why, like I tell folks, I look at things across the board and I go on principles. And of course, some of these places have, countries have their issues where they come from. But others have more of a broader criminal intent. But $27 billion from the feds, each of these cities, proves one thing. You are being bribed. It should be the 10th Amendment. The states bring the money to the feds, not the other way around. And if you folks are real concerned in your states and so forth, you can create your own money under Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution to make has to be gold and silver coins. Voila! So, look at that as well. I don't know, I've said this enough times, but you know what? Go by your oaths of office. No ends if they're buts. Okay? All right. I say that out of respect. This one here came from the American Thinker by Michael Curtis. It's entitled, "Is There a Better Candidate for Sanctions Than Iran?" And as it reads here, if Islamist terrorism is a major issue threatening the world, the Islamic Republic of Iran comes a close second. Its geopolitical prominence, economic and military resources, and extreme ideology make it rife for international mischief. Economically, Iran is rich with 10% of the world's oil reserves and the second largest reserves of natural gas, and is OPEC's second largest oil producer. Its strategic location means it borders on a number of countries which are easy reach. It has the largest arsenal of ballistic missiles and the largest armed forces in the Middle East. Ideologically, as the Islamic Republic, and with more than 10% of the world's Muslims, it dominates the Shia crescent running from Syria and Lebanon to the Gulf countries. By supporting of Islamic terrorism, its testing of missiles, its continuing enrichment of uranium, its involvement in Iran, Iraq, and Yemen, its extreme ideology, and its constant threat to eliminate the state of Israel. It has become a major destabilizing factor in the world. Its diplomatic posture, which has gone through a number of changes, has been enticing. If Barack Obama's campaign slogan was "Hope and Change," that of the supposed moderate and realist president of Iran since 2013, Hassan Rouhani, and has been hope and prudence. The nuclear deal, the Joint Compression Plan of Action, GCPA, of July 14, 2015, was supposed to ensure that Iran's nuclear program will be exclusively peaceful, and that for the stated length of time, Iran will not seek to develop or acquire nuclear weapons. Candidate Donald Trump may have been excessive in calling it the worst deal ever negotiated, but clearly President Obama was too kind to Iran. It remains to be seen whether the GCPA would prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons capability. Opinions differ about extent of uranium enrichment facilities needed to turn natural uranium into the isotopes that can be used as nuclear material for weapons or power facilities. Skepticism about Iran's intentions is in order for many reasons. One in inheritance in the document itself. Section 52 of the first annex states that Iran will abide by its voluntary commitments as expressed in its long-term enrichment plan. See, voluntary, not mandatory or conscripted. Even Reagan's famous remark, "Trust but verify," is insufficient to find the reality in Iran because of meaningless of voluntary commitments. From the beginning, Iran benefited economically. Sanctions on Iranian organizations involved in ballistic missile program were relaxed. Obama administration agreed to pay $1.7 billion regarding an Iranian claim in the 1970s concerning the purchase of American arms made by the Shah before the 1979 revolution, a payment that was almost certainly a ransom deal for 3 American prisoners. The GCPA does not include specific provisions preventing Iran from conducting ballistic missiles tests, a number of which have been taken place since July 2015. Those tests violate the spirit, if not the exact letter, of the UN Security Resolution 2231 of July 20th, 2015. Paragraph 3 of Annex of the resolution states that Iran agrees not to undertake any activity related to ballistic missiles designed to be capable of delivering nuclear weapons, including launches using such ballistic missile technology. A starting problem that it is difficult to draw an exact line between conventional missiles, nuclear missiles, and a conventional ballistic can rarely be altered to fit a nuclear warhead. In its defense, Iran argues that the tests are appropriate because the missiles are not designed to carry a nuclear warhead. Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif said the missile issue is not part of the nuclear deal. The ballistic missiles used in tests were designed only to carry a normal warhead for legitimate defense. The problem is the Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, in March 2016 said it has missiles that can travel more than 2,000 miles and thus pose a danger to the United States. In October, Iran fired a long-range surface missiles. In March 2016, the IRGC fired 2 ballistic missiles designed, according to a spokesman, shows Iran's deterrent power and Iran's ability to confront any threat to the Islamic Republic. The heads of the IRGC Aerospace Division said the test was to show Israel that Iran could wipe it out. Among the missiles were 2 Ecudorian precision-guided missiles, one which carried the phrase, "Israel must be wiped off the face of the earth" in Hebrew. Whether to take it seriously is arguable, but it certainly has a propaganda value. And on January 29, 2017, Iran tested a cruise missile, Samar, that can carry a nuclear weapon in addition to test firing a ballistic missile and is capable of carrying a warhead and has the ability to reach Israel. It flew 600 miles from a site near Semen, east to Tehran. The Summer is said to have a potential range of 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers. Flies at low altitudes, can evade radar and defense missiles. Cruise missiles are not mentioned in any UN resolutions that ban work on ballistic missiles capable of carrying nuclear weapons. For President Donald Trump and the King of Saudi Arabia, the launch in January 2017 is regarded as an event stabilizing regional activities. Trump has put Iran on notice, though there is no specific action related to the term. Trump, on February 3, 2017, imposed sanctions on 13 individuals and 12 companies, freezing any property and funds they have under U.S. jurisdiction. The urgent question is whether the Trump administration will go farther. Will it end the nuclear deal? Will it impose greater sanctions? Will it deal with foreign companies doing business with elements of Iran's economy dealing with missile programs? In connection to the GCPA, the U.S. State Department parameters on April 2, 2015 explained the prospective deal, which state that U.S. sanctions on Iran for terrorism, human rights abuse, and ballistic missiles will remain in place under the deal. Iran is a country that abounds in violations of human rights, a large number of executions and use of death penalties, arbitrary detention and prosecution of journalists, human rights defenders, and women rights activists, and acceptance of child marriage. Islamic dress code is imposed in public places. Restrictions are numerous, and opinions and freedom of expression. Websites that carry political news are monitored, and religious and ethnic minorities, Baha'i, Kurds, Jews, Sunni Muslims, are attacked. Is there a better candidate in the world for further U.S. sanctions? If Islamist terrorism is the major issue threatening the world, the Islamic Republic of Iran comes a close second. Its geopolitical prominence. It looks like I'm repeating myself as we speak. Yep, it is the same thing. Okay. Very interesting, I would say. Come to a close second. Well, I'll be very sincere. I'm not too keen with the government of Iran. Okay? They have their issues as well. But the people of that nation's got to make the decision for themselves what they want. Because even in past history, how all this relationships went to crap, since 1953 of the CIA coup, Operation Ajax. But through sanctions, a declaration of war. And if Iran has a right to defend themselves, absolutely. But don't make any statements about blow up Israel, the face off the map, because that's not really too keen. But based on the Israeli government's perspective, they like to poke at the bear, I would say. Poke at people. But something to think about. You can make your own decisions. That's all well and good. I say, let them be. These burning bridges get you nowhere. All right. Ooh, sorry about that. I'll be back in a little bit, so stay tuned. Okay, cool. Just doing my thing here. Yeah, so there's another thing here. It's called it's by John Rapport. I think it's like No Fake News, but he puts on stuff on the activist posts that say fake news, actors, robots, androids, television creation, and it says notes on media invention, notes on interviewees who try to appear normal on television and who are bizarre to the ninth degree. These interviewees are so bizarre in part, but they are trying to appear normal. I wrote the Sandy Hook article in 2013. It's about a soap opera called Television. I've added some new comments. Online investigations of what really happened to Sandy Hook easily number the thousands by now. Among other reporters, I have listed and described many contradictions and lies in the official scenario and offered alternative explanations. People have concluded no one was really killed in Sandy Hook. It was all faked. The killings were real, but Adam Lanza wasn't the shooter. He was a patsy. Lanza was the killer, compelled by psychiatric drugs. The Tana group is behind the killings. Players in the federal government secretly contracted the killings in order to take guns away. No matter what the conclusion, many of the investigations and analyses have turned up startling and useful information. On YouTube, clips of Sandy Hook citizens being interviewed reveal astonishing reactions and non-reactions that are light years away from what you would expect to see the immediate wake of such a tragedy. You can look for YouTube interview clips featuring people of Sandy Hook, Robbie Parker, the Soto's family, Sally Cox, H.A. Wayne Carver, Gene Rosen, Catlin, Roig, etc. Their reactions, non-reactions, strange behavior, inexplicable. Attitudes are stunning. First of all, you have to realize that only certain people get on television. That's fact. Number one is a major key. Only certain people are interviewed. The television is the filtered through which we see. Parents who are completely grief-stricken, who have fallen apart and are incoherent, which is what you would expect, not interviewed. Parents who are very angry and outraged, not interviewed. Parents who demand answers from a full investigation who aren't satisfied with the emerging media control storyline, not interviewed. Then we have parents who refuse to be engaged in any media person, who feel any media contact is insane and invasive and massively insensitive. Obviously not approach for an interview. We don't see these people because they aren't on television. So making some vast generalization of the Sandy Hook community is sketchy at best. Then on top of that, television news people are creating a storyline about what happened at the school and in the town, and they are finding people who will collaborate that plot line or can be convinced by news producers to corroborate it. This further narrows the field of acceptable interviews. We have interviewees who have never been on television before but have watched thousands of television interviews. They have a strong tendency to act like people who are supposed to act when they are put on camera. They speak like television, they act like television, they think like television, they admire what television admires. They learn how to behave from television. They learn what is appropriate from television. In this sense, television is a Stepford Village enabler. It invades a town during a tragedy. It set up. It rolls out the storyline that is independent from reality and accuse selected people to the robots who confirm that storyline, no matter how grotesque the distortion. I know you've just lost your daughter. I can't imagine how you feel at this moment, but you can see when we interview you, we want to honor her life. This is your chance to let people all over the world know what and who she was. Her spirit, her interests, her hobbies, what her friends felt about her. You can show the world how alive she was and how happy she was, and you can remember that, and you can even smile. And the mother of the daughter hesitates, pauses, thinks about what she really feels, and then decides the television producer is right, and she'll go along with it. On camera, she tries to act normal. She tries to fulfill her television role, and she comes across as a twisted android. Some of the Sandy Hook interviewees appear to be machine-made cartoons. Something leaped out of them when they appeared on television. They laughed, they smiled, they act casual, they act efficient and stone-faced, they act placid and calm, they act polite, that they act as they've been cast for a stage play that has nothing to do with Sandy Hook. They act if they have no resource or experience that allows them to contact what they really are. As if the walls had been built between what they are and how they are behaving. In my opinion, this is a lot worse. If they have been boldly trained and act their school to intentionally provide material for an all-out hoax. It's a lot worse because the manufactured front is their only reference point. As such, it takes only a minimal direction to move them to any chosen square on the media-controlled checkerboard. How do I have to behave to myself into a situation as an acceptable person? And one moment, my friends. Okay, hold on here. Yeah, it's like I dropped for a moment. Hold on here, my friends. I'm just going to try to get a couple things here. Exactly. Like it says here, I'll just go back. Some of Sandy Hook's interviewees appear to be machine-made cartoons. Something leaps out of them. When they appear on television, they laugh, they smile, they act casual, they act efficient and stone-faced, and they act placid and calm. They act polite. They act as they've been a cast for a stage play that has nothing to do with Sandy Hook. They act that they have no resource or experience that allows them to contact what they really are, as if the wall has been built between what they are and how they are behaving. In my opinion, this is a lot worse if they have been boldly trained as at an actor's school to intentionally provide material for an all-out hoax. It is a lot worse because the manufactured front is their only reference point. As such, it takes only minimal direction to move them from a chosen square of the media-controlled checkerboard. How do I need to behave to fit myself into this situation as an acceptable person? This is a guiding question they ask themselves. The answer plugs in immediately. It's always going to be wrong because every situation is, to some degree, alive, and the answer dictates dead behavior, machine behavior. We need to understand that these extraordinary and stunning and bizarre interviews from Sandy Hook are mirrored in other places. For example, what we are to say about thousands of soldiers who are duped into a war that had no sane reason to exist in the first place. But there are soldiers, but their soldiers are on the battlefield. They are living and breathing, and mouthing sentiments have absolutely nothing to do with the situation which have been placed. They promote the war is promoted as necessary, as heralded as an opportunity to do service, to protect freedom, but those are gross lies. Is a typical soldier in such a war going to look any less strange than one of those parents interviewed at Sandy Hook? Two of the most egregious Sandy Hook interviews with Robbie Parker, father of a 60-year-old girl who was just reported killed in the school, and with H. Wayne Carver, the Connecticut medical examiner, are mind-boggling. First of all, you can confirm that the Parker is a real person with a real background by searching newspapers. The Desert News. Parker is seen in his now famous Sandy Hook interview smiling, broadly, and chuckling and having a good time just prior to stepping in front of the microphone to make a public statement, at which point he huffs and puffs and tries to get into the character of the grieving father. It's hideous. Carver, in response to press questions, not only gives absurd and completely inappropriate answers, he guffaws once or twice as if he's out of control. In Carver's case, I would say he's covering some gigantic lies about the case. He is trying to dissemble, and underneath his shaky exterior, he's very nervous and scared that something is going to jump out of the hopper. He doesn't know what to do. At moments, it looks as if he's going to come apart at the seams. And by some miracle, we've been able to see long, uncensored interviews with many citizens of Sandy Hook. If we could have seen and heard unvarnished everything the people of Sandy Hook were experiencing, what we would think, what we would know. And since the events of Sandy Hook, why haven't we seen 20 or 30 long, open interviews with parents and the school children who put a lid on that? Whatever the truth is about what happened and didn't happen in that town, whatever the true operation was mounted and carried out there, the role of television is essential. It is the prime programmer. Television is the calculated average and not on display for the average viewer. It's the hyper-normal maniac. The people who own and run television for masses are bringers of emotional wasteland. Why are they successful? They plug into a deep cynicism that underlies a robotic behavior and thought of millions of people. The inner cynicism comes about because people already feel cut off from their own wide emotional range. Television magnifies and exasperates this connectedness. Some high priest, some dictator, General Lissimo, President Elite News Anchor, some numbers cruncher who sees this modern world as a playground in which to forward market research looks for the golden average, the emotional sweet spot on which goblin maggots can prey. I have no axe to grind here. The people who are honestly conclude that Sandy Hook was one great hoax from the beginning and no one died. The people who conclude that Lanza was a patsy for professionals who did the killing at Sandy Hook Elementary School. The people who believe Lanza was the killer driven over the edge by psychiatric drugs. The people who believe the Sandy Hook killings were a secret society operation or a black ops horror designed to grab guns of Americans. All these people will continue to explore the past, and they will unearth important information. What I'm offering here is a perspective of on how much what we see is delivered to us through twisted lenses of television. Absolutely. The great goal of media and its controllers is reduction so a population will accept whatever seems more efficient, more ordered, more systematic, more organized, more automatic, more predictable, more repetitive. Television could, if it chose to, make Sandy Hook look and feel like Columbine or the McMartin School. Field thought, data, facts. Television can rearrange these to fit its purpose. It can emphasize the grief or the police actions or the horror or for the needs for the new laws in any proportions it chooses. It could, if it chose to, but never would, highlight the outrage of local citizens who are demanding a deeper investigation by law enforcement, at which point the whole course of the story would change. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind that at Sandy Hook or any other major news events, the field reporters and anchors on the scene are never digging up the story. They're working off statements statements from the police or the FBI. There's no reason for media to be there, aside from ratings. They could be assembling the storyline back in the studio. Yes, folks, we have our reporters out there in Sandy Hook, but they're not actually doing anything. They're just telling you what the cops are saying, but we want to give you the impression that you are there. 2. So you plug into the horror and the grief. We want to give you the impression that are discovering on our own new facts, a few minutes suspense mystery. The media learned a few lessons from Sandy Hook. Among them, do not put a medical examiner on camera until he's been vetted. Until it's clear he'll present a bland summary of findings. Don't release footage of interviewees, e.g. Robbie Parker, before they make their official statement. Consider analogy to sports. The players in the field are the main attraction and focus. The referees who make important decisions stay in the background. But in the media, the roles are reversed. The anchors and reporters, referees are in the foreground. The witnesses, victims, and perpetrators, the players, are kept in the background. Why? Because the media are the story. The media take over. They position themselves front and center. They believe they own the news. They don't piece together the story from witnesses. They unroll the story based on law enforcement statements. The witnesses are merely used for flavor. This, of course, is absurd. Yeah, hypnotism, my friends. But it's a par for the course for the media. We own the news, we make the news, we report the news, we invent the news, we are the news. If the media are the news, we need reporters to report on the media. And now online, we have just that, exactly that. And it's taking part in destroying the news as it was and has been for a long time. Best film ever made about television's war on the population is Patty Chayefsky's scorching masterpiece, Network, which came out in 1976, and I recommend everyone to check it out. Very good film. Networks burst forth with lines like these from newsman Howard Beale at the end of his rope on camera speaking to his studio audience and millions of people in their homes. So you listen to me. Listen to me. Television's not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. We deal in illusions. Man, none of it's true. But you people sit there day after day, night after night, all ages, colors, creeds, we're all you know. You're beginning to believe the illusions we're spinning here. You're beginning to think that the tube is reality and that your own lives are unreal. You do whatever the tube tells you. You dress like a tube, you eat like a tube, you raise your children like a tube. You don't even think like a tube. This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion. The media, as I say, not only believe they can make the news and their own news, they believe that they are the news, and they are trapped in that model. They can't get out. Now in 2017, as the rail against fake news, they are basically exclaiming the news couldn't exist without us because we embody and encircle what news is. The rise to the new level of insanity metaphysics, the tree falling in the forest doesn't make a sound unless CNN is there to film it and broadcast the audio. And if CNN decides the fallen tree is singing Deutschland, Deutschland, Uber Alice on the way down to rig the audio to make it so, then that's what's happening. This is the empire. That's supposed to last forever. The pillars are crumbling and we don't need CNN to hear it. Yep. So that's why, my friends, you always got to look at everything a lot broader than what they tell you. CNN is considered a comedy news network, as far as I'm concerned. And that's why John Rappaport, I like what he did here. Very good. And a good thing to check out too is Propaganda by Eric Bernays. You can look that up. And they do have a PDF format. I put stuff in here in the past. I don't have to add those footnotes. I know I repeat myself. Always pay attention, see things a lot broader, and do your homework. And we can say this too, according to FBI crime report 2012. Tablet 8 to be exact. Tablet 8 to be exact. There were 0 murders in Newton, Connecticut. Something to think about. All right. I'm going to add a video here. It came from Kurt Nemo. And it is entitled How the Left Killed the Anti-War Movement. And Kurt Nemo made a quick statement on here. It says, once the home of the anti-war movement under Barack Obama, the left advocated a continuation of war and mass murder by using the political expediency of humanitarian interventionism. In this episode of Geopolitical Report, we unpack how establishment Democrats have continued the war begun by George W. Bush and expanded them into Syria and Yemen through illegal proxy wars and an ongoing intensified drone campaign across the Middle East. Now that Donald Trump is president and the wars continue, the anti-war movement will emerge from the shadows and reveal its hypocritical political coloration. And I've seen the video. It's really good. Kurt Nemo is very consistent. And you have a chance to start, folks. Support newsbuzz.com. I got to do it. Even if I donate a few money, a few dollars, make it happen. They're people funded. They're not backed up by any corporations. And several evidence is incredible. Her staff is fantastic. It gives you a broader perspective on what's going on. And this video is really great. And that's why I've been telling these yahoos out there, these virgin posing activists saying, no fascist USA, but they support Barack Obama, who's a fascist pig himself. Fascistic pig, excuse me. And it's based on his actions. Plain and simple. Doesn't matter what that man looks like. I call him another bend of the Bob to New World Order as well. Check out the video. You won't be disappointed. And share with everybody, okay? All right, my friends, that's all for now. I thank everyone for listening to this episode. Plus, feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you got something interesting to have me check out, you can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Scene.life, Freedoms Network, and Minds.com. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3, which is LokiLuck3 @gmail.com. All right, my friends, I'd like to thank CJ's Lounge for letting me sit here and chat. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.